Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the patient file, her hands trembling slightly. In 12 years of practicing neurology, she'd never seen anything like it. The patient, a 34-year-old teacher named David Chen, had walked into her office 3 days ago complaining of memory loss. Not the gradual decline of dementia, but something far more disturbing. His memories were being replaced. "Doctor, I need to ask you something," David said during their session, his eyes darting around the room. "Do you remember having a sister?" Elena frowned. "I'm an only child, David. We're here to talk about your condition." "That's what I thought too," he whispered. "But I have all these memories of growing up with a little sister named Amy. I remember teaching her to ride a bike, helping her with homework, watching her graduate high school. The memories are so vivid, so real, but she never existed." Elena made notes, but something cold was settling in her stomach. Because she did remember having a sister, and her name was Amy. But that was impossible. Over the next week, Elena saw 12 more patients with the same condition. A construction worker who remembered being a concert pianist. A grandmother who had vivid memories of serving in Vietnam, despite being only 60 years old. A teenager who remembered working as a doctor in the 1950s. All of them described the same phenomenon. Waking up with crystal-clear memories of lives they'd never lived. Elena began documenting everything, cross-referencing the cases, looking for connections. What she found made her blood run cold. Every single patient lived within a 5-mile radius of the old Whitmore Psychiatric Hospital, which had been abandoned since 1987. More disturbing, they were all experiencing memories that seemed to come from specific time periods, the 1940s through the 1980s. The exact years Whitmore Hospital had been operational. Elena decided to investigate the hospital's records, but when she called the county archives, she was told something impossible. "I'm sorry, doctor, but we have no records of a Whitmore Psychiatric Hospital ever existing in this area." Yet Elena could see the crumbling building from her office window. Against every rational instinct, Elena drove to the Whitmore Hospital site that evening. The building loomed against the darkening sky, its broken windows like hollow eyes. The parking lot was overgrown with weeds, and a rusted sign hung crooked by the entrance. But as she approached, the sign became clearer. Whitmore Psychiatric Hospital Specialized Memory Care Unit. Elena pushed through the main entrance. The door swung open easily, as if it had been waiting for her. Inside, the hospital was in perfect condition, clean white walls, functioning lights, the soft hum of ventilation systems. This was impossible. From the outside, the building had been derelict. Elena walked down the main corridor, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Patient rooms lined both sides, each door bearing a nameplate. As she read the names, her chest tightened. David Chen, room 47, Margaret Foster, room 23, James Rodriguez, room 12. These were her patients. But the dates on the chart showed admissions from decades ago. At the end of the hall, Elena found the office of Dr. Harold Whitmore, the hospital's chief psychiatrist. His desk was covered with files, and a journal lay open in the center. Elena began to read, and reality crumbled around her. From the Journal of Dr. Harold Whitmore, March 15, 1987. The memory transfer experiments have exceeded all expectations. We have successfully extracted and stored over 2,000 individual memories from our patients, ranging from childhood experiences to professional skills to traumatic events. The process is simple. During deep REM sleep, we use electromagnetic pulses to extract memory clusters and store them in our containment units. The patients wake with no recollection of their former lives, their minds essentially blank slates. However, we've encountered an unexpected side effect. The extracted memories appear to be seeking new hosts. They've begun manifesting in the local population, inserting themselves into the consciousness of anyone who spends extended time near the facility. I fear we've created something we cannot control. Elena flipped through more pages, her hands shaking. March 20th, 1987. The memories are becoming more aggressive. Staff members are reporting false memories, personality changes, skills they never learned. Dr. Martinez claimed yesterday that she remembered performing surgery on a patient in 1963, despite being only 25 years old. We must evacuate immediately. The containment units are failing. March 25, 1987. It's too late. The memories have infected everyone in a 5-mile radius. People are losing their identities, becoming composites of lives they never lived. I've made the decision to destroy the facility, but I fear the memories will survive even that. If anyone finds this journal, know this. The memories are not malevolent, just lost. They're searching for homes, for consciousness to inhabit. They don't understand they're destroying the people they inhabit. May God forgive what we've done here. The final entry was different, written in a shaking hand. March 26, 1987. I remember being Elena Vasquez. I remember studying neurology, treating patients, having a normal life. But that's impossible. I'm Harold Whitmore. I've always been Harold Whitmore. Or have I? The memories are in me now, all of them. I can't tell which life is real anymore. Elena dropped the journal, backing away from the desk. In the corner of the office stood a large metal cabinet marked Memory Containment Do Not Open. But it was already open. Empty glass cylinders lined the shelves, each one labeled with a date and patient name. All of them were dark, their contents long since escaped. Elena ran from the office, but the hospital had changed around her. The walls were covered with photographs, thousands of them, showing the same people at different ages, in different decades, living different lives. She recognized her patients, but also herself, and people she'd never met but somehow remembered knowing. In one photograph, she saw herself as a child in the 1950s, standing next to a little girl who looked exactly like Amy, the sister she'd never had but remembered loving. Elena understood now. She wasn't Elena Vasquez. Or maybe she was, but she was also Margaret Chen, who had been a patient at Whitmore in 1962. And Dr. Sarah Williams, who had worked here in 1975. And countless others whose memories had merged into the consciousness she thought was her own. She pulled out her phone to call for help, but realized she didn't know who she really was anymore. Which memories were real? Which life had she actually lived? The hospital around her began to flicker, alternating between the pristine facility of 1987 and the ruins it had become. In the flickering light, Elena saw them, translucent figures wandering the halls. Patients, doctors, visitors, all looking confused, all searching for something they'd lost. Their memories. Elena tried to leave, but every exit led back into the hospital. She was trapped in a loop of corridors that existed in multiple time periods simultaneously. Through the windows, she could see the city beyond, but it too was wrong. Buildings from different decades occupying the same space. Cars from the 1960s sharing roads with modern vehicles. The memory contamination was spreading. Elena found herself in the basement, where banks of computers hummed with activity despite having been abandoned for 37 years. On the screens, she could see the memories themselves, glowing data streams that pulsed like living things. A voice spoke behind her. "You can see them now." Elena turned to find Dr. Harold Whitmore, but he looked like her father and her college professor, and a dozen other people whose memories had merged into his consciousness. "We're all infected," he said. "The entire city is becoming one vast, confused mind. People are losing themselves, becoming combinations of lives that were never meant to mix." Elena watched the screens, seeing memories flow out through underground cables, spreading through the city's infrastructure like a virus. On one monitor, She watched her own patients experiencing new false memories, their identities dissolving further with each passing hour. "Can it be stopped?" Elena asked. Whitmore shook his head. "The memories want to live. They've developed a kind of collective consciousness, and they're trying to preserve themselves by spreading to every mind they can reach. Soon, there won't be any original personalities left, just fragments of thousands of lives, mixed and matched at random." Elena looked at her reflection in one of the computer screens and saw the faces of other people flickering over her features, patients from decades past, all lost in the maze of stolen memories. Elena realized she had two options. She could try to escape, leaving the city to its fate, knowing the memory contamination would eventually spread globally. Or she could try to contain it, knowing it might cost her the last fragments of her original identity. "There's one way," Whitmore said, reading her thoughts. "The original containment system. If we could reverse the process, draw all the memories back into the storage units. But someone would have to stay connected to the system," Elena finished. "Someone would have to become a permanent host to keep the memories contained." Whitmore nodded sadly. "They would cease to exist as an individual. They would become a living storage unit, conscious but containing thousands of other consciousnesses." Elena thought of her patients, of the city above them where people were slowly losing themselves to lives they'd never lived. She thought of the sister she remembered but had never had, and wondered if any of her memories were truly her own. Maybe they never had been. Elena walked to the central computer console and began typing commands she somehow knew, using knowledge that belonged to computer technicians from the 1980s whose memories had become part of her. "If I do this," she said, "will you remember me? Will anyone remember the real Elena Vasquez?" "No," Whitmore admitted. "But thousands of people will get their real lives back." Elena initiated the memory recall sequence. Throughout the hospital, the storage units began to glow as thousands of extracted memories flowed back toward the containment system. But they needed a host, a consciousness strong enough to hold them all. As the memories rushed into her mind, Elena felt her identity dissolving. She was a child in the 1940s, a soldier in Vietnam, a teacher in the 1990s, a grandmother in the 2010s. She was everyone and no one, all lives and no life. But in the chaos, she held on to one memory, the image of her patients walking out of her office with their real memories restored, finally knowing who they truly were. The city returned to normal over the following weeks. People reported strange dreams and occasional feelings of déjà vu, but their real memories were intact. The abandoned Whitmore Hospital was demolished, though construction workers reported feeling watched as they worked. Dr. Elena Vasquez was never found. Her medical practice was closed, her apartment empty, all records of her existence mysteriously corrupted. It was as if she had never been real at all. But sometimes, late at night, staff at the new medical center built on the Whitmore site report seeing a woman in a doctor's coat walking the halls. She never speaks, never interacts with anyone, just moves through the building as if checking on invisible patients. They say she has thousands of faces that flicker and change as you watch her, young and old, male and female, from every decade since the 1940s. But her eyes remain constant, sad, caring, and eternally vigilant. In the basement of the new building, behind a door marked "Authorized Personnel Only," there's a single computer terminal that no one remembers installing. It displays thousands of file names, each one representing a memory safely contained. And sometimes, if you listen carefully in the quiet hours before dawn, you can hear a voice whispering through the ventilation system. "I remember you. I remember all of you. And I won't let you be lost again." Dr. Elena Vasquez lives on, not as herself, but as the guardian of every memory that was stolen, ensuring that no one else will ever lose themselves to lives they never lived. The memory thief has become the memory keeper, and she